Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Connect to Florida. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 things you need to know. You have to work out before you start the drive down to Florida, before you put your house on the market, before you put any permanent roots into Florida. You need to work these 4 things out. It's very important. Grab your coffee. Let's jump into it. All right, so if this is the first time we're meeting, let me introduce myself. My name is Barrett Pastor, and I've been a real estate broker for over 26 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and I can help you navigate all things Florida related. I always let you know that here on my channel, we are not talking about brochure living. We are talking about real life living. You can get the brochure anywhere, but I'm going to tell you the things you really need to hear if you're considering a move to Florida. All right, number 1, doctors. Work your doctors out. For the love of all that is holy, work out your doctors. If you have any health condition at all, make sure that there are specialists and numerous specialists in the area that you can see, because if there are only 2 and you don't like one of them and you can't get in with the other, or worse yet, there is a little phenomena here in sort of what I call the Achilles heel of Florida, which in my opinion is healthcare. Listen, I'm going to tell you the way it is. It's not good. It's not good. Now, do you know somebody, if you live here in Florida, do you know somebody's auntie's cousin whose life was saved by Dr. Finagle over at NCH? Yes, I'm sure that there is a story out there that you can hear. But listen, over 90% of the time, it is so rare for me to hear anybody find a doctor that they like. It is very rare. It's a bizarre phenomena. And in my opinion, I'm just making it up here, but what I think it could be is that most people come to the area to retire. They are here later in life to kind of call it a day. They want to relax. They want to go to the beach. Once they get here, let's say you're a doctor that's worked in Boston for your entire life. You're burned out. You're tired. You're a great doctor, but you're done. You want to retire to this area. You don't want to go get into the thick of things at the hospital. And maybe if you do, you're going to do it for a year, make a boatload of money and retire. So I don't know. I hear a lot that families, when companies want to move to Florida, this part of Florida, Southwest Florida, and I would say that to some degree there's other parts of Florida where this is affected as well. So you may think, why wouldn't a doctor want to move to Florida? I would love to move to an area where other people vacation. But here's the thing, and this is what I hear. Listen, I am reporting back to you what I hear. I have a lot of customers that are doctors, and I often hear that they're here for a year and they're done because they're not being paid as well as what they could get in some other larger cities. Now, is that true? I don't know. I'll leave that up to the doctors out there, but I hear it pretty often, and it really doesn't matter if it's an ER doctor, a podiatrist, whatever it may be. I hear that across the board. So maybe that plays a part in it. I don't know. The other thing is the seasonality of the area, and yes, it is getting to be less seasonal, but we're still in a situation where they have trouble having nurses that are here full time, and they bring them from the other coast, from outside of the area, outside of the country. They're constantly recruiting. It feels like that is very much the Achilles heel of the area. So what can you do to work that out before you get here? So my suggestion would be, again, make sure that if you have some things, let's say you need a kidney doctor, or you need you need a OBGYN, or you need a cardiologist, make sure there are enough of them. Cardiologists are massively in demand. So I can tell you from personal experience that it took 7 months for me to get in to see a new cardiologist, and I had to do it because my insurance switched over. So make sure on that. Now, here's the other little tricky thing I want to share with you, and this may be happening in your state as well, but it definitely happens here in Florida. If you see a doctor, so I'm going to give you another example. I saw a gastroenterologist. Is that how you say it? I saw one of those doctors. I did not care for the guy at all. He came in, I found him to be arrogant. He had a coffee cup in his hand. You know, you're talking to somebody who could potentially be sick, not feel well, and you come in with a coffee cup and the cream and the Nutella, hazelnut smell, whatever it is. I just found it to be arrogant. And I didn't care for him, and so I met with him once and I decided, you know, that's okay. I don't want to move on with this guy. So I called Dr. So-and-so down the street, got an appointment with him. They wouldn't see me, because if you have seen any doctor in the area, that doctor has to give permission for you to be seen by another doctor at a completely random, different doctor's office. It's like you don't have any control over your own health care. If your personality doesn't meld with Dr. XYZ, you can't go see the other doctor you might want to try out. That is a problem. So I'm telling you, I'm spending so much time on this because do your research. Establish on the front end. When you get here, pick a cardiologist, the best one that you think you can find if that's what you need. Set the appointment. Yes, I know it's going to be 7 months. Go anyway, even if you're having no problems, because when you do have problems, you won't be able to get in because you'll be a new patient. Prices during season are higher across the board regarding everything. I'm talking about cars, restaurants, when you go out to eat, grocery prices. I have also found that the closer in you go, so the closer you get to where all the amenities are, for example, the Pelican Bay Publix, which is pretty close to the beach, definitely that's going to be west of 41, so definitely an area that would not be considered inexpensive. That grocery store, the prices are higher than if you went out 5-6 miles out to 951 and you went to that grocery store. Everything across the board is higher. Personally, I do my Christmas shopping in the off season. So when it is summer, I'm buying my Christmas presents. Why? Because everything is on sale. That's where you're going to see a whole lot more buy one, get one in the grocery stores. Restaurants run really good deals. You know, they'll do these little package deals where 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, a dessert for X price, and a bottle of wine. So that's the time to try out all the restaurants that you wanted to try, because number one, you'll be able to get in, you won't have to wait for an hour, plus you will have the benefit of the lower prices. Don't buy a car during season. And if you're gonna buy a car, it's better to drive outside of Naples. Buy that car way out in Fort Myers, go out to Punta Gorda or, you know, maybe Port Charlotte, somewhere like that. Get out of the area that feels touristy, where you're gonna fall into, theoretically, having to pay more for something. Buy your car outside of Naples, because that Naples premium, the pricing is gonna be across the board. Clothing, swimsuits, bring your swimsuit with you, because you'll get a much better deal in your home state than if you buy a swimsuit in Naples, Florida. So just know, across the board, everything is going to be higher during season. In the off season, which is when it is hottest, that's our off season. And that is the time that you want to take advantage of the sales. Pets and fences, gardens, sheds, anything that's going to sit in your own personal yard outside. If you are coming from a state up north where you have a lot of freedom in what you can do, so meaning you're not part of a really strict HOA and you've got 2 dogs and 2 cats and you really need a fence for those 2 dogs and you didn't think a thing of it, start thinking about it, because even if you're buying single family home ownership, in condos, forget it. You're never going to be in a situation where you can have 2 dogs and 2 cats for the most part. In fact, it's really tough to find anywhere that will allow a dog over 40 pounds in a condo. So if you are thinking about a condo, the first thing you need to know, if your little pup is important to you, if little pup is over 40 pounds, know that they might ask for the vet records. So a lot of times we used to tell people nobody's going to weigh your dog. Well, now they've decided that they've got a way to weigh your dog because they'll just ask for the vet records. And if he shows that he's overweight, you're not going to be able to bring that dog. Now, there used to be this theory that, oh, well, I'll just go on the internet and I'll call my dog an emotional support dog. Not anymore. That is near impossible to get away with, because what happens is they just start putting all of these rules and sub-rules and all of these things into the association that you agree to, so you will not be able to get around that. If you have a dog that's over 40 pounds, or if you have 2 dogs or more, you've got to ask that on the front end, because you won't be able to squeak that by. So even in single family homeownership, there are many communities that don't allow fences. If you're backing to a lake, there are very few communities that will allow fencing. Now, you may say, well, what about an electric fence? Some of them yes, some of them no. So you have to know these things on the front end if you have pets at all. Cats are not as hard, although I can think of a couple communities where no pets are allowed, including cats. But dogs are a big one, especially larger dogs, even in single family home ownership. The other thing is, if you always had in your mind that you wanted a garden and you wanted a shed and you're going to have the outdoor living, and maybe you're going to put up a privacy fence and you have this image in your mind, not so much unless you are buying in a non-HOA, in which case you can usually do whatever you want to do. So like Golden Gate Estates would be an area. There's a lot of areas up towards Venice. Northport, for sure. There's areas that you have a whole lot more freedom. But if you're going to buy in an HOA, you got to work that out on the front end. All right, and then number 4 is kind of a bonus. I want to make you aware that if your thought process is you're going to come down to the area, you're not going to connect with an agent yet, you're just going to kind of buzz around and go drive around some neighborhoods, you really enjoy doing that, you grab your coffee and you and the wife are going to just drive through neighborhoods and kind of figure out what areas you like. Not in the communities you're not. And in Naples, Florida, Bonita Springs, Estero, for Naples, I'll start there. 90% of Naples is gated. You will not be able to get in the gate. You're not going to be able to talk your way in the gate. The only caveat to that will be is if you're here on a Sunday, if there's any open houses, you will be able to get in that gate. Otherwise, you will not. You cannot just go drive through communities. That is the purpose of having a gated community. Now, as you move a little bit north to Bonita Springs, I would say that you're at about 70% gated, but those might be the communities you want to get in. If there are amenities, for the most part, they're gated. Almost across the board, they're going to be gated. As you get to Estero, same thing. A lot of golf course communities in Estero. A lot of them are bundled golf or private equity golf. You're not getting in those. They're not going to let you through. Now, new construction, yes, you can get in. And again, make sure if that is something that you want to do that you leave that day to be Sunday, because that is the day that you'll be able to get it done. But don't make the assumption. I hear this all the time. I bring you this channel based on real life things that happen in my career. Don't fly in thinking you can just, we'll come Monday through Thursday. Nobody will be there. It's not the weekend. We'll drive around. We'll get to know the area. No, you will not. You will not be able to get in. All right, I hope you learned something from this. If I can be of help, as always, all my contact information is down below in the description box. I do offer 40-minute consultations where we can do a deep dive into what you're looking to do. If you're looking to do something in a year or 2 or 3, let's get you prepared.